Let's dive into the recent podcast and interview of Sean Strickland, where he ranted and said lots of things about Hamza Chimaev. We all know Strickland is very famous for outrageous comment and statements. Sometimes his statements are liked by people, sometimes his statements are criticized. However, today I will say that he makes some statements about Kamzat Chimaev out of his hatred and out of his own weakness, and these statements are clear example of projection. He, when asked about what he thinks about Kamzat Chimaev, he mentioned that Kamzat Chimaev is someone who is mentally weak. This is a clear example of projection. We know who is mentally weak. Sean, you cried on a live podcast when DDP said something about your father. You are a UFC fighter who is supposed to be a very strong person, and you cried on a live podcast. Hamza didn't cry on a live podcast when someone said something about his father. You did. So, who is the mentally weak person here? And he gave the reason why Khamzat is a weak person and he has weak mentality because Khamzat fights weaker opponents and MMA fighters who have less records, lower record in the gym because his opponent resembled that fighter. That is the reason he gave us. We still do not know the perspective of Khamzat, but we know that Sean, you are someone who fight weaker opponents. When someone says and ask about UFC bully, you are the first person whose name will come up because you bullied multiple YouTube persons, content creators, and influencers. You beat up Sneeko for 3 rounds and you couldn't even knock him out. You also beat up multiple other YouTubers, content creators, and influencers and showed them no mercy. I'm an MMA fighter. I also fought lots of people who didn't have any professional experience or fighting experience. I never did that. Whenever I spar with someone who are not in my level, I always try to go 10 or 20% because I know that I have the abilities to harm or hurt him. But you never go slow. You go full force against those novice guys and you hurt them. Interestingly, you never do that against UFC fighters. In your last fight against DDP, you didn't go full force. You just jabbed, and your coach begged you to fight, but you didn't fight. Also, we know that you messaged, you DM'd DDP before the fight and said that he's your daddy. This is what basically, I'm not going to go to detail. You can find DDP's interview and what where he is saying that what Strickland said. He is saying basically he is hurt and he wants to apologize to DDP and he wants DDP to not talk about his father again. Man, this is some weak ass shit. This is an example of weakness, soy boy, beach boy stuff. We don't do that. We strong MMA fighters won't do that. Kamzat will never do that definitely. Also, You multiple times tagged Khamzat as terrorist. You also said that you train with Dagi terrorist. To you, anyone who is a Muslim is a terrorist. We all know that because you multiple times said these derogatory terms in your UFC social media handle and in your UFC interviews. I wonder how UFC keep promoting you, and I am saying UFC that promoting such individuals will have serious consequences because this is how you normalize tagging people and allow people to say terrorists to Muslims. Despite Khamzat has no association with any kind of terrorism, Sean is able to say that Khamzat is a terrorist, and Sean is able to say all Dagestani wrestlers and fighters are terrorists. This is not should be this is not supposed to happen, and this is not right. And UFC should charge him for that, ask him for that, why he is saying this stuff. And I am telling you that when confronted about these stuffs from Dagestani fighters, he always backs down. He never shows same energy when he is confronted. We know from his previous altercation with Dagestani wrestlers and fighters, he backed down, he apologized to them, and he also did train with Khamzat. And from that altercation from that altercation, we can see that he was very nice to him. He didn't say anything to him. He also appreciated that Khamzat is a very good guy, a very good fighter, because we know that Khamzat tapped him multiple times in that training session. And I understand that Sean is salty. Sean can't accept that Khamzat is able to tap him multiple times. This is why whenever Khamzat is out of the country, he knows he is safe and he goes off ranting bad stuff, saying bad stuff about him, because he knows that Khamzat is not in US and Khamzat won't able to hurt him. Sean is a weak guy. He will only beat up persons who he knows he can beat. He is a perfect example of bully. Also, when you see his rough and tough personas, that is all fake. He is not that. He is the person. The real person is the one that cried in that podcast. He is that person. He will cry when he is confronted. And I'm telling you, it is not, I am telling you, I don't need to tell you anything, because it is already in record that Sean multiple times denied Khamzat fighting Khamzat. He is avoiding Khamzat like he is angel of death. Sean doesn't want to fight Khamzat, and this is what makes Sean salty. And he is this is the reason Sean is insecure. And Sean does not want Khamzat to become champion, because if Khamzat becomes champion, all his chance of becoming champion is gone, because Sean knows if he fights Khamzat 10 times, he will lose against Khamzat all those 10 times. He has no skills, and he is nowhere near Hamzat's skill level. This is, we all know that. Sean also knows that. This is why Sean keep saying this stuff. He is not a genuine person. He is a hypocrite. He is a racist. He is a Islamophobe. He is a insecure person, and what he spewed on that interview is a perfect example of projecting your own insecurity.